All right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the first, I guess, 2017 KETIV Autodesk Virtual Academy. We're excited to be here for the first one of the year, first of many of this year. This is probably what our 60th session, something like that. So definitely thank you for continually attending these and definitely showing your support for what we do. If it wasn't for the people watching this, I wouldn't be sitting here doing sessions every week. So with that, I'm gonna go ahead and we'll get started here. I'm Nigel Labaik, if you didn't already know, and today I'm joined by somebody completely new to AVA. This is Brian, whose last name I'm not going to butcher.
Yeah.
Perfect. I'm also joined here in the background by Alex Alvarez, if you want to join us real quick here, Alex.
Hi. Oh, there we go. Good morning, guys.
Yeah, both of these AEs are completely dedicated to the Fusion 360 platform. So if you don't already know what that is, Brian kind of explained that to you. And so we're definitely highly invested in this platform. You'll see a lot more content from us here in the near future, and you'll hear it from these two. So definitely super excited about that. With that, I think what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and pass it on to Brian, and we'll figure out why we're doing this session, why we kind of picked it. So.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Nigel. All right, so for those of you who don't know, Fusion 360 is a powerful cloud-based software that has CAD, simulation, rendering, fabrication, collaboration, and data management. And I chose this topic for this week's episode because I know that it's essential to know how to collaborate and manage your data to effectively use Fusion 360. And also that I know that everyone here, like maybe you guys are using the CAD and rendering tools, or the CAD and simulation tools, or CAD and CAM tools, but I know everyone will be needing to know how to use the collaboration and data management tools, because everyone has someone they need to collaborate with, whether it be a customer or team member, and everyone has data that they need to know how to manage. So with that being said, let's move on to the first part of the presentation. So here's an overview of what we're going to talk about today. First, I'm going to talk about the different devices Fusion can be run on, and then I'll talk about how to share data within Fusion, and then Nigel for the live review session.
Yeah, so definitely. So the live review session here is highlighted. This was something we were going to go over in today's session. Well, that was planned to go over in today's session during the early stages of creating this. We then realized that live review is like such a complex thing. I'll kind of explain what it is right now. Essentially, live review is what we're doing in GoToMeeting right now, but with Fusion. It's kind of built in a tool where you can, share your screen with everybody and kind of go through a essentially a meeting online where you can kind of have the CAD tool open, and you guys can, talk about what changes need to be made or go through the approval process. It's such a complex thing, and I think it's so important that we're going to spend an entire session sometime in the near future working on just live review. I think it's definitely warranting of a full 30 minutes. So we're not going to go over that today. Definitely expect to see that soon.
Right. And after that, we're going to talk about how to import data into and out of Fusion. And lastly, we'll summarize everything we talked about, and we'll answer questions that you guys may have at the end of the presentation. So I encourage you guys to ask questions during this presentation, so because your question might be the same as someone else's who's watching. You guys might have the same question, so it'll be beneficial for everyone. All right. So device compatibility. So Fusion can be run on a Mac, PC, tablet, or phone. And the cool thing about it being run on the phone is that, from experience, the past few months, I downloaded Fusion, the 360 app on my phone. And whenever I go out to lunch with a customer or a friend, instead of trying to explain to them the project I'm working on, I just pull out my phone, the free app, and I open it, and I can just show them exactly what I'm working on in this 3D viewer in the app. So just by using your fingers and just rotating the model around like you would visualize it, like if you were to swipe to the left, it'll rotate the model to the left and things like that. You can have a clear visualization of, and you can show people that. And I think that's a big wow factor that Fusion has to offer. And also, you can have access to all the data you're working with currently in Fusion, and also in the app you can email people on the spot, and in that email they can download your model once they click download from the email.
Definitely. And quick aside here, Just to answer a question that I know is going to come in, on the phone and on the tablet as of today, in regards to doing like full-blown modeling, that's a no. But it is a full viewer. It has a lot of it has markup capabilities. It's got some other stuff, but no, you cannot like model from your phone as of now. So there's actually a tool that we're going to go over next
Right.
that does allow that.
Exactly. So now in this year, Autodesk has announced Project Leopard, which is a fully capable or all-in browser Fusion 360 tool. So what this means is you don't need to have Fusion 360 downloaded onto your desktop at all. You can have everything. You can make changes to your model in Fusion 360 solely in the browser. So wherever you have access to your browser, like let's say your phone, you have browser access there, a tablet, you can make real changes to your model. For example, you can extrude, you can cut, you can delete stuff, you can add things to the model. So that's pretty cool to look forward to. Next, we'll talk about how to share data in Fusion 360. So now let's move over to Fusion. And so if you guys are not familiar, here is the Fusion 360 workspace. There's a toolbar right here where you can make changes to your model. There's this workspace tab right here where you can hop between a modeling workspace, a rendering workspace, simulation, and CAM. And okay, so let's say that you and a team member want to invite a team member to your project and to collaborate and work on and make changes to this model. So in order to do that, you want to go to the top left-hand corner of the screen here and click on this data panel, and then this left tab will appear here, and then you can go to the People tab here, and by entering your team member's email address, Fusion will send them an email, and once they accept it, their name will appear down here. So everyone down located here in this People tab have access to make changes and edit my model right here, and everything in this data panel here. And also, here's the top part of my project. So they have access to everything in this project, but they don't have access to things in my other projects. So that still gives them that Fusion still restricts the people from viewing your more personal or your other projects that may be related to other customers that you maybe not want those team members in this project to see. Okay, so the cool thing about being able to collaborate within Fusion is that when, let's say I invite a team member like Alex to edit this model, once he makes a change and saves the model, if I click on this I button, information button right here, it would show right here exactly who made that change and exactly what time. So this eliminates the chances of you don't need to email or use Dropbox anymore. So it saves a lot of time, and Fusion. The cool thing about this is that Fusion organizes everything within the data panel here. It shows you don't need to email each other the data, and usually data gets lost if you email assemblies. If you forget to add a part to the assembly that you're emailing, then everything is lost there, and you have to go find that part and things like that. It prevents those kind of things from happening. So if I click here to see more versions, you can see that every time I save or someone saves their project, it will appear right here as a new version. And if I click here to show all versions, you can see from the very beginning of this project, like with this pen cap I made, that was the first time I saved it. So if let's say you don't like the whole model except for the pen cap, you can just go here to this folder right here and open up just the pen cap, and it'll have that saved, ready to go for you. So I'm going to go ahead and scroll up and hide these versions because we don't need them anymore. And I'm going to go down here to see more details. So this data panel tab also shows the different drawings for this model. So it shows the drawings that I made for it. So I have these drawings located here, And then the children, so it shows that the models that are children to my model. So for example, I have a grip extension, which is located right here, and that is this model that I have on the right here is a parent of the grip extension. And for the parent models that I have going is this pack of pen models, which is a parent of this model I have on the right here. That model, I inserted this model on the right into my pack of pen models.
Yeah, it's
that's what makes it a parent.
Yeah, just an aside here, it's like very similar to if a lot of you are familiar with Vault, it'll tell it's kind of the same. There's a tab in Vault that tells you the child's or where used and used in. It's like kind of the same idea in Fusion. So they just use different wording, I guess. So.
All right. So now I want to show you guys how to interact with people within Fusion, or interact with your team members that are viewing this project. So if you go to this comment tab right here and you hit the plus symbol, you're able to comment on a part of your model, and by clicking this button, comment on an object, and then by clicking on a part that I want to comment on. For example, if I want to change this grip right here to a different color, let's say red, I can make that comment right here, hit post, and then it'll update. It'll show who made that comment. Let me move this to the center here so you guys can see it better. It'll show who made that comment and exactly what time, and it'll show a picture of that comment you made. Earlier I asked the question, should we make this black, and I changed it to black. But now we'll do the vice versa. Should we make this red? So I'll go ahead and close this comment. To make it red, you can right-click, go to Appearance, and then the Appearance tab will appear. Click on the plus symbol, and now I will click and drag this preset color into my grip, and that's it. That's how you change the appearance of your model. And now I can save this model because the change has been made. And now you can see that it updated the version to version 48 instead of version 47. And yeah, and then it'll show on the right hand side. It'll update over here as well. So next, after I show you guys how to make comments, I'm going to show you guys how to like externally share data with a customer, like, or with someone that you don't want to have access to edit your model. Like if they don't know anything about 3D modeling, you can do this method that I'm about to show you guys. So let's go to back to the data panel right here. I'm going to minimize this details tab here. So in order to share this link or to share this model with a customer externally, go to the model you want to share with them, right-click on it, and then hit Share Public Link. And what this allows you to do is it allows you to send a link that you can send this link to anyone, and whoever opens this model or this link, they can see a 3D viewer of your model. And down here, you can, if you check this box, it'll allow for the model that you sent them to be downloaded in various different file formats. And if you click this box right here, you can enter a password down here. So this kind of limits everyone from seeing it. Only the people who know the password can view this link. So I'm going to go ahead and uncheck that for this demonstration. So the cool thing about this link is that if you send it to someone, they can open it and they don't need plugins or add-ins. And the cool thing about that is that if a company is restricting their workers from having that kind of access, like some companies won't allow you to download plugin or add-ins, that's okay, because this link, as long as you post it in the browser, you can view it without those plugins or add-ins. Also, like let's say you sent a link to someone 2 months ago regarding this pen, for example, and then you made some changes and then your customer wants to see the pen again after you made the changes. You don't need to send them a new link. This link is always shows the most updated version of your model. So even 2 months later, they can go back to that link that you sent them 2 months ago and open that link, and it'll show them today's version of your model. So now I'll show you guys how to import and export data into and out of Fusion. So let's say you want to import a SOLIDWORKS assembly model, for example. The best way I find to do that is to go to your data panel here and go to this Upload Cloud button. Click on that, and now you get the option to select files from your computer or drag and drop them into this box right here. So I'll go ahead and select files, and I have a Lego Man assembly that I pull, a SOLIDWORKS assembly that I pulled from GrabCAD, and I'm going to go ahead and select all of these and hit enter. So now it appears here to be uploaded. I'm not going to upload it right now for time's sake, so I'm just going to cancel it here. But as you can see, like I uploaded it earlier, and it appears here on the left-hand side of the screen, and everything came intact. So now if you want to export a model out or files out of Fusion 360, the way to do that is you can go up here to the file, go to export. You can change the name if you want to. You can choose the type of file you want to save it as locally, and down here you can choose where you want to save it to. But let's say, for example, you want to save it as an inventor file, but these or inventor file format, but these don't support the inventor file format because it's supposed to be an IPT, and that does not appear here. So that's okay, because I can show you guys the second way to export a file. So I'll go ahead and cancel this. So the second way to do this is you can go to the link that you send to people. So remember when I said the share public link? You can go here to your browser, and this is the link that you sent to them. So if you go to the top right-hand corner of the screen here, there's an export option. And here's the inventor file format right there, along with various other file formats that you can choose between. Okay, that concludes the material that I have to cover over today. So let's go over a summary of the topics that we went over. So first we went over the different devices Fusion can be run on. It can be run on Mac, PC, tablet, or phone. And this upcoming year, it can be just run solely in the browser. We went over how to share data among team members, how to make comments, how to edit your part. Then we went over that live review session we'll have as a separate a whole AVA on that. And then I showed you guys how to import data into Fusion, and I showed you guys the two different ways to export the data out of Fusion.
Yeah, even like non-native data. I think that's important to note, that it's not native data that, like, you can send Fusion 3D files out of Fusion, but the really cool thing is you can save things as like non-native file types, whether that be things like CATIA or SOLIDWORKS. I know that's definitely a pain point for a lot of people. When you're sending, you have to send things like SATs and IGES files to people, and it doesn't maintain all of, the file maybe look even a little bit different than what was in your tool. Fusion kind of takes care of that.
All right, so now we'll open the floor up to any questions that you guys may have had during the presentation, or that if you guys have right now.
Yeah, definitely. So there are a couple of questions here. And the first question here comes from Rich. And Rich wants to know, when I export my file into Inventor, what does that look like?
Okay, so when the file is exported, it will be emailed to you, and then, or Autodesk will email you that link, and then it will come in as a zip file. So if you unzip that file, then you'll have all the IPT, since it's Inventor, right? You'll have all the IPT drawings or the models,
yeah,
that file format available to download locally onto your computer.
Yep, and if it's like multiple parts and stuff that you're importing, like say for example you create a small assembly in Fusion, if that's what you really want to call it, you can export that, and the zip file will contain all of the parts that you need individually, and they're going to include the actual assembly file per se. It's going to be an IAM. In regards to having all of the model features there, as is when you go from any modeler to another, and you have like translation, you're not going to get all of the features. So things like extrusion chamfers, you might not have all of that detail in regards to like being able to select that particular feature and editing it. Say you wanted to make an extrude like an inch longer. That's something you're probably going to have to manually do, create another sketch, and then do that in that sense. If you have any questions about doing that, definitely let us know, and we can run through that with you. Also noted, when you do send things out into Inventor from Fusion using the browser, it comes out as an Inventor 2016 file. And as we all know, I'm sure everyone has run into this before, Inventor's not backwards compatible, so definitely you're going to need an Inventor 2016 or 2017 to open that file. So if you do have a previous version of Inventor, you're still going to have to export as something like a step file or an IGES file to be able to open that within your tool. So yeah, that's one. Let's see here. This one comes from Steven Maring. Is Fusion 360 a different product that you get with Product Design Suite or with Simulation Mechanical? Brian, can you kind of go over that a little bit?
So people like to get confused Fusion from Fusion 360. Fusion 360 is the tool. It's the CAD tool. It's a part of the product innovation platform, which is Fusion.
Yeah, so they're things like, you know, you're going to hear Fusion a lot. Fusion Team, Fusion Lifecycle, Fusion 360. Yeah. They're all part of like kind of an encompassing thing that helps your whole design process. But Fusion 360 is the CAD tool, and people on current subscription with most products, Product Design Suite included, who have current maintenance or subscription do have access to Fusion 360, the CAD tool. So definitely, if definitely you guys already have it, you know, most people with Inventor and stuff, you already have it, and if you did install Product Design Suite on your computer, you might have already installed Fusion. It's definitely, go ahead and type that into your like search into your Windows, and you'll probably find it. I know that it jumped in on my Product Design Suite install, and I didn't use it for a while until I remembered, like, oh, it's totally in here. So definitely try to use the tools. They are available to you, and you've already got them. So definitely use them. So we've got a couple of questions here from Jorge Garcia. Inventor creates and handles revisions. Does Fusion use the same feature, or is it an addition to Inventors? And then there's an aside to that. Maybe I'm confusing versions with revisions. Can you elaborate on how Fusion handles each case? So in regards to revisions, Inventor doesn't handle revisions unless you're using something like Vault, where you're like kind of automating your life cycle changes. What Inventor does, as Fusion does as well, is its version control. So you can do some version control in Inventor using the project file. And the same thing with Fusion. It just automatically has that version control for you. So as you saw, Brian had like 48 versions of that pen file. Right. And he can go to any of those versions and open that model at that state and time. In Inventor, you can do the same thing if you set your project file to do so. I believe it out of the box, it automatically automatically saves one version prior, but you can change that number to like infinity if you want. But then you're using space on your hard drive for each version you save or you maintain. Fusion, on the other hand, everything's living in like the cloud. It's kind of an imaginary term, right? So you're not actually using all of those versions. Those 48 versions aren't actually saved on Brian's computer.
Right. That'd be terrible.
Yeah, they're saved on the cloud stack at Autodesk, and so he has access to all of those in that sense. So definitely, if I answer your question, Jorge, definitely let me know if you still have any confusion, and I can kind of go over that with you. Just to make it a little simpler, a version. I'll just go over versions versus revisions here real quick. I know it's a question that comes up a lot when I'm talking to people. So a version is an iteration of a file. So every time you save a file and it's like a new version of that file, that's a version. A revision is kind of like a grouping of said versions. You can have a lot of, say for example, your file is a work in progress, and you're building this file to get to like some approved state. Everything up until that approved state would be one revision, and once it gets approved, you go to a different revision if you have to like make different changes. If that's a little confusing, definitely let me know. That's just kind of just how I think of it. A version is smaller than a revision, and a revision contains versions, pretty much. So, like I said, we are going to have some more future topics on the live review session. It's definitely something that warrants, I think, its own AVA. I think it's that important. Essentially, what live review and Fusion does is going to let you do kind of what we're doing here, where we're sharing our screen with you, and you can see what Brian's doing within the Fusion product itself. So we're going to go through that on a full AVA. On that same note, something really cool, with the addition of these two AEs that are Fusion-based themselves, we're going to start doing kind of a parallel to AVA for Fusion 360 itself. So twice a month, we're going to be doing webcasts. They're going to be on a different day of the week at some different time, or we're just going to be doing Fusion 360 topics. We hear enough of it, I think, from customers and from like the surveys that you do provide to us, that definitely warrants its own session, where, you know, twice a month we're going to spend 15-20 minutes going over something new in Fusion. They're really transparent with where they're moving the product forward to, so it's really good. We can kind of know, like, you know, what they're working on in the future. Things like Project Leopard, we already know about that, even though it's not live. Things like sheet metal, we know are coming, and even some of like the 4- and 5-axis cam stuff we knew was coming even before, you know, it was kind of released. So it's a good thing. We're going to go over things like that. So definitely, we're taking any suggestions for topics for that Fusion thing. We don't know what to call it yet. So even if you have, you know, if you have a suggestion for the name, you know, that'd be kind of cool too. Definitely leave that in the survey afterwards, or any future topics that you want to see for that Fusion specific session. So definitely here we got another question from Jorge Garcia. So he'll get back to me. Cool. Definitely, sure. Just go ahead and email questions at KETIV or call me, and we can kind of go over that version versus revision stuff. So I'm sure a lot of you have just a couple of KETIV announcements. I'm sure many of you, if not all of you, have received an email in the last day or two from, I think, Rick from our team. We do have a free webcast here in a couple of weeks going over iLogic and Inventor. That's like probably the most asked topic for AVA. It's so complex that I don't think we could like fit a super in-depth session on iLogic in one. I think it's definitely going to warrant its own grouping of sessions. But we are going through like a deep dive into iLogic with product manager from Autodesk, Sanjay. So those of you who were here for our Inventor Insider event, he was here for it, and there's a lot of great iLogic stuff that he's going to be showing. I'm going to go ahead and put that link in the go-to right now in the chat box. So definitely go ahead and go to this link if you are interested. It's got ridiculous amount of people interested in it. I think in the first like 12 hours it was live over like almost, I think it was like 50-something people signed up for it. Definitely a ton of people. So if those people are interested, definitely you should be too. So go ahead and take a look at that. And lastly, one more thing. Anthony, the KETIV Vice President, shared some of his thoughts in an article that you might have already seen on LinkedIn. If you haven't, I'm going to go ahead and share that as well in the GoToMeeting chat. And Anthony kind of goes over some of his thoughts within you know, the whole manufacturing process and how it's evolved in the last couple of years in regards to like his own history, where, you know, stuff, if you read it, you'll kind of get it. But definitely a great article. And if you want to reach out to him, his information is there too. So definitely something great to look at. So I think that's it. I don't see any more questions here that have come in. So with that, I think I just want to reiterate, we are doing a future series of webcasts on Fusion 360. It'll be like twice a month. I think we're going to start here sometime in Q1. I'm looking in the next couple of months to get started with that. So definitely keep an eye out in your inboxes for invitations to that if you are interested in moving forward with Fusion 360 and continuing that learning experience. So with that, again, I'd like to thank you, Brian, for being here
Thanks
today.
for having me.
For sure. And Alex, who's over here, thanks for being here today, for sure, helping me monitor some of these questions and stuff. But with that, I bid you adieu, and let's have a great 2017. So thanks.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Thanks for watching, guys.